Hello everyone, my name is Arrowfire. Welcome back to another episode of My Top 5. Now history always likes a good leader, someone who can rally the troops and lead you through dark times ahead and give you inspiration in very difficult circumstances. We don't always have that, so today I'm going to go through my top 5 Transformers leader characters. Now, quick disclaimer right from the start. I am not going to include a Generation 1 Optimus Prime, and I am not going to include a Generation 1 Megatron. Now really, they are so iconic, these characters, they just take up two very important slots that could be just as deserving to other characters. So I'm going to park them from this list. And this will be my top 5 Transformers leaders. Number 5, Thunderclash. Now, this is a bit of a weak choice, you could say, in as much as there's no particular media for Thunderclash to fall into. He is known to be the leader of the Throttlebots, and he will have his own arc in comic book series, but he wasn't in the original Generation 1 cartoon. He certainly wasn't reprised into the Bayverse films or much other forms of media. So really his toy and his character bio is his legacy that he leaves. But what a legacy this is. He is very much the transition of Transformers, going from Generation 1 to Generation 1.5, going into the turn of the 90s, and you see that in the design of Transformers with the logo change and the colours used, the gold plastic syndrome, and everything else that he represents. Now of course, with him being leader of the Throttlebots, I find it so brilliant and almost obnoxious that the Throttlebots are really just cars, and very small ones at that. So to be the leader of that is this massively oversized truck, of course, that they could all fit inside. But he strikes you as a leader, and very much in his personality, he seemed to be this God-given character, has all the strength and charisma and courage in the world. So much so that when IDW bring him into their comics, particularly in A Lost Light, you saw this kind of this superstar walking onto the ship, this one that everyone would swoon over when he comes on. But that persona, it leaves your reputation, and that is why he is on this list. And number 4, Robomus Prime from IDW. Now some of you will know that Robomus Prime on The Lost Light, leading and captaining the ship, there was this charm to him, but it was quite a childish charm. There's very much the case of he was a fish out of water, or he was almost punching above his weight, and he relied on the likes of Ultra Magnus and Drift and others to keep him in line and focus. But I did think that come the end of the Lost Light story arc, that you did see this coming of age of a character, and the childishness sort of stopped, particularly when they got to find the Knights of Cybertron and how he had to kind of be co-captain with Megatron. There was this kind of realization that he had to be more than what he had been, and I think this has been the best transition of Robomus. Previously there was always this, I'm not worthy to lead, I don't want to lead, and now you've got a case of he does want to lead and he will do it his way, but he does it his way through the journey he's been on and what lessons he's learned along the way. I said before, this was a real coming of age of the character, an established character at that, which is quite unusual, but it was a story done really well, and how you saw that even to the end with his final battle with Getaway, that he couldn't bring himself to do something evil, he would do the right thing. And that is just shows you how that when you have a character like this, and compared to how Robomus was in the Generation 1 cartoon, for example, or Generation 1 as a whole, it's night and day in difference for how you can portray a character. Number 3, Megatron Armada. Now, okay, yes, I did say Armada. He's allowed to be on this list because this is a different Megatron. Let's not get into how that's a thing, but this is a different Megatron, same name. Is it the same Megatron? Well, it's a different Megatron in my eyes anyway, and this Megatron has much more of an evilness to him than maybe even more so than a Generation 1 cartoon does. The incarnation of this Megatron is a case of galactic domination first and foremost. He really wants the Star Saber, he really wants the power of the Minicons, he really wants everything absolute. And how this goes on into the Unicron trilogy, you see this build-up of a character, how he's effectively upgraded to Galvatron, but the character in the base form, in the tank mode of what you see, this tall presence, it has more of a sinister edge. I found in this Armada side of things, that this Megatron was much more willing to go further and almost happy to humiliate his opponents, certainly to humiliate his own troops. But I love this character in general. I certainly love the alt mode, the fact that it's just this massive tank, and this was really probably the first time people would see Megatron as a tank if they didn't watch Generation 2, which of course the interest did wane ever so slightly compared to Generation 1. So seeing a Megatron as a tank, that he could whip round a turret in robot mode, it made you take notice, and there seemed to be a bit more of an aggressive resilience to this character. I love this form of Megatron, and I'm very happy if we get to see him again. Number 2, Scorponok, Marvel Comics. For me, Scorponok should always be a Titan. That's my Scorponok, that's how I choose to remember him. However, I did always like how the Marvel Comics used Scorponok as another form of commander, as another form of leader, and the Marvel Comics were happy to cycle through leaders in both Autobots and Decepticons. So when it came to Scorponok's turn to lead the Decepticons, again this was quite a ruthless time, and you saw a very much a gladiatorial style leader. Not to say that Megatron wasn't, far from it, particularly in the Marvel Comics, but Scorponok did seem like quite a natural leader. He wasn't a Titan, he was just a very big chunky bot, very much Grimlock's equal, and there's a whole rivalry there still to this day. So when he takes over, he's not Zarak's pet, as we know from the Rebirth miniseries. In fact, that he is this own entity, that he's happy to go toe-to-toe with the likes of a Power Master Prime, Robomus Prime, or a Grimlock, or anyone else. He seems to strike fear, more so into the Decepticons than, say, Megatron does. There's a case of blind loyalty for Megatron, but there's a case of ruling with an iron fist, or claw, with Scorponok. That is probably one of the best representations of the character, and it's a shame that IDW only slightly touched on the Scorponok character, only slightly touched on Scorponok's leadership capabilities, because there's a lot more left in that tank, or Scorpion. And number 1, Beast Wars Megatron. Yes, I suppose I'm a bit of a mark for Beast Wars, aren't I? But the Beast Wars Megatron character, again, very much a different Megatron, not Generation 1 Megatron. This was a namesake, a different one, voiced by the wonderful David Kay, and the persona that came through from this character from the first episode was groundbreaking, at least in my eyes. So you have this, not to mention a Shakespearean dialect and a Shakespearean class of character, but you have this very much grand plan with Megatron. Generation 1 Megatron and many other Megatrons do have a tendency to be very one-dimensional. I will crush, I will kill, I will destroy, galactic domination, rinse and repeat. Now Beast Wars Megatron always had an agenda, very much, even a name of episode further down the line. But Megatron's game plan, the galactic domination, the energon, the fact that he can willingly coax other people to join his side and defect, he can send spies into enemy camps. There's many different levels to this character. It's little wonder that he lasts through all 3 seasons of Beast Wars and the subsequent 2 seasons of Beast Machines being the same character. Beast Machines maybe didn't do him quite as much justice. For the character as a whole and how he gets body upgrades each time, he continues to stay relevant. He's never overshadowed, so there was protection of the character's representation. When you wrap it all together, and the fact that there is such deep meaning to this character, I think, for me, he is the best leader in the Transformers universe, outside of Optimus Prime in Generation 1 Megatron. And there you go, that is my top 5 Transformers leaders. What about you guys? Have I left out your favourite? I'm sure I've left out a few memorable characters along the way. Do let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and hit that subscribe button, because I will see you on the next one.